A friend of mine called me, I think it was last weekend, and was like, you teachers, I don't know, if I were the president, I would be paying teachers more highly than any other profession.
Yes.
He says, we keep arguing here with the children. You're telling them it's time to do this, they are doing their own things. We are always pulling ropes. How do you people manage? Then he's like, now you help me. What should I do? I have a candidate. So I went into now counseling her, advising her on what they should do, how they should sit, amicably agree, come up with a timetable that incorporates both the academics and the house chores and the spiritual bit of it. Then at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know what you people are like. I'm like, no, those children are ours. Pastor was saying they give them to us. Yes. But actually, we know them and we understand them better than the parents.
Really? Wow.
And if you've been very keen, if a teacher made a mistake, for instance, with a toddler, and said, and gave them a wrong answer or a wrong pronunciation of a word, when a parent tries to correct, the child will insist, teacher said.
Teacher said, yeah.
Why? Because of the bond. So now, COVID is giving us this opportunity as families
to bond with our
children.
That is wonderful. I think we're in the same line, right from Anne to Pastor Anne, because the teachers have taken the biggest part of our kids. Now God is trying to tell us through COVID, glory to God. I will always say that, to stay with our kids, to bond with them, such that we can connect with them on a very bigger part of it. And then we also thank God for our teachers. Pastor, you have something to say?
No, I'm just seeing teachers around because this one is also teachers, though he has gone into the money thing.
By the way, that was what I was wanting to tell.
Yeah, because I remember one time we had a serious argument with my daughter. When I was studying, I don't remember. I don't know how I picked it up. But I thought places where they sell meat, they are called butcheries. Mm-hmm. Now she's in primary 3, and the question comes up and said, places where meat is sold, and they said, the answer is butchery. I said, no. Teacher said it's called a butcher's shop, something like that. I said, that's wrong. We had to, because no teacher told me this. She argued until we had to call the teacher. But before I called the teacher, I went to the internet and I was checking. And I discovered I was wrong. Because when you talk about butchery, I think it's the act of cutting
in pieces.
But a butcher's or a barber's shop is where they cut off our hair, like we're having a problem now with hair. So butcher's shop is where they sell. So Margarets are taking our children, I don't know, but because they believe in them a lot, and they're giving them, of course, what the world requires today. To have a job, you have to listen to a teacher, but I think it should be a shared responsibility. Yeah.
And it has to be a shared responsibility, and I'm grateful and I'm chanced to have one of my teachers on this panel.
Wow.
Mr. Simon Liada. He taught me in my senior 3 mathematics. I think he had forgotten, but I know that he taught me that. So he's a teacher and he knows what we are talking about.
So teachers forget and the students remember.
Yeah, we have to remember. But this is what I want us to talk about. There is this new curriculum that has been set by the government. I think every one of us here on the panel knows. And it had to start with the current senior ones, right? It's a lower secondary curriculum. I may not know much about it, but you know. Is it efficient? Has it started to work? But will it work?
Thank you very much, Isaac.
Welcome.
On the new curriculum, I may not efficiently answer that question. But what I believe is that it may not be adopted easily in this year because of what has happened, because of the COVID-19. I stopped writing on a blackboard in 2010.
I was in my senior 4.
Now, I believe headmistress
10 years.
will be the rightful person now to give the
Right.
better thing about it. But before I get off, there is something I wanted to chip in there before Pastor came in.
Yes.
This thing, the situation that we are in now, really I've realized that the bonding between the parents and the children had stretched a bit. And this is the period that is now contracting. We are coming close again. And a lot of things have happened. We have seen that because many parents don't have television sets,
Yes.
many parents have no access to radio sets.
Internet.
The government came in and brought study materials. They have distributed.
The printed materials.
Now, I was also chanced to have some materials from Gayaza Primary School, Laita Academy, Kampala parents, for the levels where my children are.
Wow.
Now, the biggest problem is with this material is that the child is answering. I'm just imagining, me, I'm lucky
You're a teacher.
that those things still flow in my mind. My child was given mathematics and they began Venn diagrams. The lesson is there. So wherever he would get a problem, I would guide. Science, I forgot some of the things because this is the primary level, but still I would remember and guide. But now, he asked me a question in science, in social studies. I told him, first go and ask your mom.
You come back.
I'm busy. But the fact is that I didn't know, I was just dodging.
You're not so busy as you said.
So I'm looking at a situation where parents never got an opportunity to go to school. They don't have this knowledge of even helping a child 2 plus 3, you get 5. And they have these study materials. I wonder how they are going to handle it. Me, I'm lucky. At home, I teach math. My wife teaches English.
Wow.
Now, when they come to SST, we are instead taught.
The children teach you.
I don't know whether they also deceive us. Now we are just there. They were asking me about Kintu. I forgot those things. They asked me about the spear of Labongo and Gazi. So generally, I'm looking at all the methods that have come in. To some level, to some extent, they are going to be helpful. But somewhere, they are not going to help.
I think I would like us to continue because this is something very big and pertinent to us. But our time is also, our time is really done. But Madam Head Teacher, you'd want to talk about the no curriculum, then we'll get back to the pastor to sum up, and we'll get done with our program today. Please.
Thank you, Isaac, once again. The lower secondary curriculum, as it is called, is an intervention that government is making, and we are all still learning. Because you remember, you may not know it, but the teachers were going to be trained for only 1 week.
I heard about that.
So 1 week really is not
enough.
sufficient.
It's not enough.
For a lot of content that is being compressed, because they reduced the subjects from 43 to now about 17 or so, but of which 11 are compulsory. So even the facilities in the schools are still wanting for some institutions, because you may find a school, for instance, that is still operating in a shop setting. They've hired what was formerly a shop and converted it into a school. So it may not have the facilities. Now this new curriculum is saying that ICT should be an enabler in every subject. So what happens a school that does not have computers? Then the ICT will not be able to enable the teaching in all aspects of those subjects. Then they've given the way they clustered the subjects. As head teachers, we had complaints. We requested ICT be made compulsory, but told us it should just be an enabler. Then we were like, but now look at agriculture. Our economy is agro-based, but agriculture is an optional. So they're saying they made it optional. Why? Because they left it to only schools that could afford. And what is affording? Affording means you should have some land.
Yes.
Because when you pick up agriculture as a school, there are projects that must run. This curriculum is such that their timetable ends at 2 to 30.
Yes.
So the rest of the time up to 4:35 is supposed to be hands-on. So hands-on in ICT, in the science world, in agriculture, home management for those that do it, performing arts.
Yeah.
That is the time.
It's time to do that.
But you're going to find a school that finds it difficult to pick on which subject. Because when you look at what it takes for you to be able to run this subject, then you're curtailed.
Wow. We would like to continue, but there are very, very many things to talk about, but I'm sure that we will call you back here to talk about very many other things. But right about now, I want the pastor to sum up, then I will sum up our program.
Yes, thank you very much. And I want to thank our presenters that have been around, the people that we call them presenters?
Panelists.
Panelists.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much because they are people of families, and I know your children are waiting for you, your spouses and stuff like that, because now, as we say, the more we come together, the more the addiction to be together now.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't know what we're going to do after the program. I think after the release.
The release.
Some people, I think, are going to be more connected to their families more than ever before. But as we've been, I think, if I'm to speak spiritual, I think we've been so much, the flow has been towards education. And I want to encourage somebody that is watching right now that even the Bible says, study to show yourselves approved of God. Where we are going, the world needs people that are civilized. The world needs people that are knowledgeable, that have got wisdom. We are paid for what we know, not for what we don't know. I've been watching television, international televisions and places like that, and there is a lot of potential and talent in Africa, but people don't want to go to school. People want to sing, but they don't want to go to music schools. In this period where we've been locked down and we're not moving to different places, I've been trying to write a book, and I'm trying also to do some recording. But every time we are recording, at times we are insufficient of ideas at times. And I said, if somebody had gone to study music or recording or stuff like that, or writing, somebody would be helping me right now to put my stuff together. So it's very important for us to study. So even as we are still in the break, follow your children, as don't take those moments for nothing. If there is a teacher on television, if there's anything for you to learn, the people that study neurology and the neurosurgeons and people who study the brain, they say we have trillions of cells in our brains, and we use, I think, about 5% of the brain. So somebody was saying that you could read the whole books, all the books in the world, and your brain is still wanting. So in Africa, we underuse our potential. We have books that our friends are writing, but the best thing you can ever do is to read the page, the front page, somewhere in the middle, and maybe something about the writer, and you cover that book. Very many of us, even us who have ever gone to school, we don't go back into our books. When you leave school, I don't know, maybe because we are forced to go to school, Genda Kosomero, they hold a cane and they say you have to go and study. So we took education as if it was a punishment. Some things apply to subjects like agriculture. At school, when you could come late, for us who studied from the schools, the teacher will tell you, you go in the school garden and you make, how do you call this one?
Potato heaps.
Potato heaps. 20 potato heaps. So you dig 20 potato heaps and you come back and so every time somebody tells you to go to the garden, you have a house on a plot of 100 by 100, plant a few banana plantations, whatever plantain is behind your house. The mind goes back to the punishment. So it's high time, I think, people knew that education is not a punishment. It is for our personal benefit. That even if you have gone out, that's why I'm encouraging people, even people in church, if you can enroll for any program, go back to school. When you go to the Bible, the people that were used most in the Bible were people who went to school. Moses, the Bible talks about him as a man who studied according to the Egyptian civilization and education.
Yes.
And that's why he writes 5 books in the Bible, in the Old Testament. When we come to the New Testament, a man called Paul, he wrote how many books?
I think 13.
13. Yeah, you are my Bible study student. So why? Why did he write 13 books and Peter, who was so close to Christ, wrote 2 only? Because he studied. So our potential is underused because we don't study computer, we don't study scriptures, we don't study administration, management, science, and stuff like communication. Like for you are studying communication, and we are so proud of you because you are helping us into the production, arranging us, telling us how many minutes we are going to use on the program. So why? Because you went to school. So I encourage people, go back to school, enroll in programs, pay school fees for your children, because that is the way to go. And I strongly believe even God approves studying.
Amen.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much, Pastor. I'm not going to add anything on that, but I want to remind you that these videos are on YouTube, on our YouTube channel called Busia Miracle Center Ministries, and you can also find us on Facebook on Busia Miracle Center Ministries. Go and like us, watch us, and share us. But I want to thank the men and women of God that have given their time to come here and to speak to the nation, to speak to the world. May God richly and abundantly bless you all in the name of Jesus. And I also want to thank the pastor team, right from the topmost pastors, Pastor Ansel and Emmanuel Mosisi, for letting us and allowing us to have such a program here at church. And I also want to remind you that this program is proudly sponsored by the EM Ministries, that is Pastor Emmanuel Mosisi Ministries and Busia Miracle Center, right here with us. Everything. And I also want to thank the camera guys, the men behind the camera. Thank you so much. The production team, thank you so much. The Busia Miracle Center family, thank you very much. And I want to give out my shouts to the people in America. I have friends in America, and Pastor too has people in America, the Tompkins, the Hunters. I also have a family in Australia, the Ralph family. I love you so much, and may God bless you all. Till next time.